Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project Magnetic Reversal News and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update, Friday, September 10th, 10:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2021. The models are in and they're showing a grand solar minimum meridional pattern through mid-September, with record heat up in northern Canada on the east and record cold in Wyoming, all on the same day, where we will see a 100-degree temperature difference from point A to point B. But the big story, Hurricane Larry thinks it's a blizzard. The storm is set to hit Newfoundland and then do a bizarre transformation into a major snowmaker for Greenland. Keep calm. It's boom time. We have some connectivity issues. This is the fifth attempt at this video, so bear with us. Snowcane Larry forecast to dump 5 feet of summer snow on Greenland. Hurricane Larry is set to transition into a massive blizzard as it approaches Newfoundland. This setup is highly unusual for this time of year, with the storm expected to dump as much as 5 feet of snow on the continent. All the while, the mainstream is claiming that Greenland, well, is melting. Not. The U.S. just had its hottest summer on record. More fraud. This summer beat the record set by the Dust Bowl summer of 1936 because of, well, homogenization and the redistribution of thermometers towards hotter areas. Not because of facts, not because of science. This is actually the most egregious headline that anyone could have witnessed in their lifetime. And we're going to get to more of them here. First, the snow vanished. Then the mudslides began. Mount Shasta's summer of pain because all the snow melted. It never melts in Shasta. The snow never melts there. Well, is Mount Shasta really devoid of snow for the first time ever? No. In fact, the entire snowpack melts off almost annually in September and October before the snows return. But this year it melted a month earlier. And, well, that just gave a pass to the global warming alarmists to take names and to scare people to death, like Ice Age Farmer. More fraud coming from weather.gov. Widespread above normal temperatures all over. Above normal temperatures will be on display from the southwest U.S. to the Great Lakes on Saturday. In fact, the central U.S. will be so hot, 15 to 20 degrees above average, that it may actually set a record. One or two. There's no mention of the record cold on the entire East Coast at the same time. That is, well, pathetic to say the least, weather.gov. And they continue without mentioning the cold in the East. These hot temperatures are all ahead of a cold front, which is coming in the West, which will trigger severe thunderstorms from the Great Lakes to the central high plains, as well as record colds. But we're not told. There they are. These schmucks. I'm sick of this. Well, best crop we've ever had. A lot of people reporting that there's terrible crops. In fact, some crops are bad. But if you're talking about New England fruit, let's listen to some of these fruits right now.
Flannel shirts and head.
Did she say flannel shirts?
Again, we're going to put on our flannel shirts and head out to the farm and pick some delicious apples.
And as WBZ's Rachel Holt reports, after a couple of rough seasons and the coronavirus pandemic, the orchards are banking on this year's great crop.
For 34 years, people have been coming to Parley Farms to take part in a New England tradition, apple picking.
Apple season in New England is one of the greatest family things that I feel you can do.
Afterwards, we get to cook all the apples and all the different. Are we going to bake later? Bake some apple pie?
That's an apple pie.
This year, there's even more reason to be excited.
Things have really come together in terms of the apple season.
Now, I just want to chime in here and say that picking apples in New England is awesome. We had farms in Pennsylvania we went to all the time. I used to go myself, because it's just a fun activity where you can interact with nature and get the food you're eating and know where it's coming from. Period.
The apples are good size, the flavor's phenomenal, the quantity is terrific.
You know, this is the best crop we've ever had.
This despite a growing season where farmers across the region faced extreme heat and excessive rain.
While a lot of farmers who have field crops have had their harvest diminished, in the case of apples, the trees are able to absorb a lot more water.
They kind of suck up all the moisture, get bigger and juicier. So we're excited about the apple crop this year.
On top of that, compared to last year, it's easier to welcome big crowds with relaxed COVID restrictions at farms and orchards.
Last year, we did have some restrictions.
Well, these schmucktods up there in New England screwed their own pooch. And thankfully, we don't like to report on any unconstitutional going on across the United States. So thankfully, New England, home to New Hampshire, where their state motto is live, die, or free, is actually loosening up just a little bit. While the apple crop is the best, this guy or the other guy, both 60 or plus, have seen in their entire lives. So who's telling the truth? Over 1,000 lightning strikes occurred overnight in California, igniting new wildfires. Huge numbers. Approximately 1,100 cloud-to-ground strikes in the state since last night was tweeted by the National Weather Service. So there's that. Now, a lot of you have heard about the massive M6.5 earthquake, which is not massive to begin with. So, strange sounds, you're full of shite. Massive earthquake would be anything above 7.8 magnitude, in my opinion, which would be 12,000 times, 100,000 times more powerful than this little tweaker that they're calling massive. But a massive 6.5 earthquake at the northernmost tip of Cascadia has been fear-mongered upon hundreds of times, hundreds of videos about this fake earthquake that never happened, because it never happened. And that's because people that report on these fake topics have no background in science. They have no way to go look at seismographs. There are over 40,000 public seismographs on the earth you can actually go look at, and nobody looked at a single one. In fact, there was not a single seismograph that picked up this earthquake. And you know what that means? Well, that means that there wasn't an earthquake. That means there was a computer glitch in an earthquake system at the USGS that put this pin up here that someone took a screen grab from and said that the government is lying to you. In this case, they're not. Their computer program, which they have nothing to do about because someone else purchased it or who knows what happened, but it was a glitch. And the seismographs don't lie. I mean, those have been around for 10,000 plus years, in my opinion. And none of the seismographs picked up any earthquake activity in this particular region of British Columbia. And that means nothing happened. Wow. That was a lot to get. Seismic update. No quakes of note. And here up in Stanley, Idaho, this is completely normal. 3.3 activity. There's nothing happening at Yellowstone. It is not going to erupt. But what will erupt is Askja volcano, as we predicted. Now the mainstream picking up on this. Ongoing uplift has increased like a beast. And there it is. There's the inflation. Let's just blow this image up for you so you can get a good visual. What we have is inflation and deflation simultaneously. So inflation happening to the west of the main caldera and deflation happening to the east. And that means magma isn't placing over here. The eruption will occur on the left edge of the caldera, and it will happen imminently at any time in the future. Why do we know? Because we're geologists and we know how that works. And let's just read what they have to say. IMO has now raised the alert level to yellow as rapid deformation of the caldera is continuing and has now reached 7 centimeters in just 6 weeks. Rising magma is also only at 2 to 3 kilometers at depth, so the possibility of an eruption in the near term is increased. Yes, increased quite a bit. Worldwide volcano news update. Nothing spectacular. Karimsky has puffed to 22,000 feet recently today, and that is pretty significant. Now let's come check out space weather news here at spaceweathernews.com and see what we got going on. Boom! Check out Discover Solar Wind. Wow, we just had a CME impact. That is what happens when you have this vertical line where all the telemetry moves, as opposed to something like a coronal hole stream, which will increase in density first, followed by the speed. This was like a shock wave, boom, that happened right there. And like swimwear, that is a coronal mass ejection coming from the sun, which also kicked off the magnetometer here, over 100 nanotesla, from 160 to down to almost 40. So that's 120 nanotesla almost within a few hours. That's going to kick off geomagnetic instability, which we're seeing here just 6 hours ago at KP4, but nothing more. This will drop down as all is quiet on the Western Front. Plasma speed is not even at 340, folks. So the sun is quiet in solar minimum territory and nothing to worry about, period. And we said it. Moving along, researchers complete the first ever detailed map of global coral. And it doesn't show massive bleaching or the end of the empire or the world. In fact, it shows lots of amazing coral. Take a look at that. In fact, if you just go through this article and watch the video, you're going to find out that, well, coral is a bumper crop. We have the most coral ever recorded on Earth as of now. So humans aren't doing anything except helping grow coral, apparently. But the bad news is geoscience is on the chopping block. And this paper coming out in Nature reviews Earth and environment. Well, it just came out 2 days ago. And universities are ruthlessly cutting geoscience departments. Funds and staff are bringing a terrible blow to earth science research worldwide. And the reason is because earth science, geoscience, is the key multidisciplinary approach to tell you the truth about the fact that climate change is a fraud, that the geomagnetic reversal is ongoing, and that life is about to change very soon. So, more bad news coming from the scientific front. And interestingly enough, a recent reversal in the response of Western Greenland's ice caps to climate change. They did a study and they found that the coastal glaciers, in fact, build when the temperature gets warms. But what they've been reporting is that it's your fault that the glaciers are melting. So they have gotten themselves in quite a conundrum, proving the exact opposite of what they have been fear-mongering. Well, similar to other channels that we used to support. Isn't that a fact, Jack? New study by top universities reveals very simple secret to happiness. Yes, and that's leisure. Can you believe that? If you actually have time to do what you want to do, you're happy. Wow, it took a study to figure that out. Strange 160-mile-long dog-bone asteroid Cleopatra captured in detailed images. These images had been captured from 2017 to 2019, and they show a very rare, no, they don't. Most of the gigantic asteroids are dog-bone shaped because of electrical discharge weathering. I said it. These babies are being shaped by electrical phenomena. And the dog bone is pretty typical. Lots of the large objects in our solar system have this shape. This is not new. But the fact that this one, Cleopatra, is almost half the size of northern Italy, well, that's mind-blowing. And if this baby were to hit Earth, well, it would be bye-bye. Now, groundbreaking high-frequency gravity wave detectors report rare event. The only problem is that gravity waves are nonsense, theoretical, not ever proven, and reports of a rare event make it even more hysterical. The last rare event reported was actually a wasp nest in a tube next to one of the detectors that gave them a signal. So it's anyone's guess what type of insect larva is creating this rare event. Mars rover first rock samples reveal lengthy water exposure. Wow. We had no idea there was water on Mars, except there's river channels, erosional features, And, well, now confirmation decades later from never a straight answer. More kids shot in Chicago than have died of COVID-19 across the U.S. this year. Well, it's a dangerous thing we're dealing with. Yes. Gun violence in Chicago. I love to wrap it up with a kick in your arse. Biden droned the wrong guy today. Did you hear about this? An innocent aid worker was killed in Kabul from a drone strike after our own failed president, dementia patient, pulled out the military before we pulled out our citizens. So now we're just blowing up aid workers to pretend that we're doing something. Good job, Joe. If I didn't live here already, I wouldn't believe it, but it is planet Earth that I come from. And the people, well, I'm mostly upset about the hundreds of millions of idiots that voted for the puppet that is now destroying the planet. If you're one of them, you can suck it. That's a boom. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. When the mainstream media has brainwashed hundreds of millions of people into becoming complicit idiots. Yes, that's you if you're questioning what I just said. And that's a boom. Subscribe to the channel, share this with like-minded people, and we will see you in the morning. Live questions and answers on Magnetic Reversal News at 10 a.m. And that's a boom. Be safe. We love you.